of all the differences.
There is no indication that the companies have increased their overseas shipments since the shortage began. And Mr. Bolt says the manufacturers haven't raised their prices significantly in the U.S., but there is no question that some people have sought to exploit the shortage for profit. While people like Mrs. DePrince must search the country for IG,
do you know of anybody who might have immune globulin at home?
We found that some brokers or middlemen are selling the drug at hugely inflated prices. When Pitt County Memorial Hospital in Greenville, North Carolina began running low on immune globulin, the price they had to pay went from $15 a gram to $69 a gram. And then recently a broker, Taylor Pharmaceuticals, tried to sell the hospital a brand of IG not made by one of the 4 U.S. companies for $125 a gram. But somebody apparently is making a killing off the shortage.
Isn't that outrageous? And I can assure you that none of America is engaged in these activities.
Taylor Pharmaceutical wouldn't tell us where they bought the IG or how much money they're making on the sale of immune globulin, though they insist their price markups are small. The industry's silence frustrates Dr. Kaplan and others who are seeking to end the shortage.
We don't know if they could make more, but choose not to. We don't know if there's an attempt to keep the price up by having it scarce. We actually know very little, because what we're talking about here is large international companies trading across national boundaries who feel accountable to anyone.
We asked the FDA's Dr. Friedman about Dr. Kaplan's complaint that he cannot get the information he needs from the industry. Art Kaplan told us this, quote, "We actually don't know what's going on with respect to these blood products because we are not getting the truth from the blood industry."
I know that the Food and Drug Administration does not have good, accurate, up-to-date information about supplies or demand or cost.
This is the chairman of the government's Committee on Blood Safety and Availability.
I understand. And our access to information is no better in some ways than his.
But from a source outside the agency, we found this internal FDA memo from February of this year, in which the agency says it has identified, quote, "very large inventories of intravenous immune globulin." Clearly, they complained, the large inventories are not reaching U.S. consumers. Mr. Bolt says he cannot comment on that. As for a similar letter the FDA sent to a member of Congress, the FDA said this, quote, "supply disruptions also may have occurred due to stockpiling or other market phenomena." Is that a fact?
I'm not aware of that.
Mr. Bull denies that the industry is stockpiling IG. Even so, Representative Christopher Shays, a Connecticut Republican, believes the blood industry may know more than they're admitting. He has studied the blood plasma industry, and he worries that the industry is using the shortage to get the FDA to go easy on them.
The shortage is critical, but we're not convinced that it's not being manufactured by the companies themselves.
The shortage?
Correct. But one of the things we're very concerned about is that you don't have shortage blackmail, that you don't have...
Shortage blackmail? What do you mean?
We need the supply of this product. And if there's a shortage, the FDA is coming to them and saying, we need you to produce more. They in turn say, well, you just aren't allowing us the ability to produce the amount we need to.
Shays is referring to the FDA's new aggressive regulation of the blood plasma industry. Back in the 1970s and 80s, thousands of Americans got AIDS and hepatitis from contaminated plasma products. And the FDA wants to prevent the spread of new diseases.
Bottom line, we had a threat of AIDS early on. We weren't alert to it. We didn't police the blood supply the way we should have.
And the FDA doesn't want that to happen again. In the last year or so, all 4 manufacturers of IG have run afoul of FDA inspectors who found flaws in their drug manufacturing process.
And yes, all 4.
That's a very serious record, isn't it?
It is something that we're very concerned about. It's something that we're focusing a lot of attention on.
But the FDA is also keenly aware that they have to get enough immune globulin to those who need it. So the shortage has already forced the FDA to okay the emergency release of IG that had been originally withdrawn for fear it may be infected with Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. That's an infectious and always fatal brain dementia, similar to mad cow disease. Though World Health authorities don't believe the disease can be spread through blood or its plasma component, for no cases have been documented, they're not absolutely sure either.
There's so many questions about Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. We understand only a very little bit about how it's spread. We don't have a technique for identifying those people at risk yet. And most importantly, we don't have a technique for sterilizing blood components to get rid of that infectious agent.
Mrs. DePrince is troubled that the government would take a chance with Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, no matter how slight. For two of her sons, both of them hemophiliacs, have already died after getting blood plasma tainted with AIDS from the same manufacturer who are now selling IG to her son Teddy.
In 1982, the same manufacturer said, well, we're not sure that this new disease called AIDS is transmitted through plasma.
But that's how Teddy got.
And that's exactly how Teddy got his AIDS, and that's why I have lost two sons.
Is any part of this shortage calculated? Dr. Kaplan's committee begins a new round of hearings tomorrow morning to try to find out why IG is so scarce, and Congressman Shays, same early next month.